Hi, friends. If we haven't met before, my name's Hannah Seymour, and I am the host of No Matter What, which is the podcast you are listening to. Today on the podcast, I have Katy Fassett. I have followed Katy for a long time on Instagram. She posts things that are just fun and lighthearted and silly about motherhood and fitness and postpartum and being pregnant. And she is pregnant with their fifth child. And about a year ago, she and her husband really shook things up. He left his full-time job to go to seminary because he felt like God was calling him to be a pastor. So that is a lot about what we talk about in this episode, about change and transition and learning how to just relinquish control and trust God, even when you don't know what he's up to, even when you're not sure that you love the direction that maybe you're heading. This really is just a sweet conversation about surrender and trust. I know you're going to love Katy. She is going to encourage you like she has encouraged me for so many years on Instagram. So let's dive into my conversation with Katy Fassett. Katy, I am so delighted to have you on No Matter What. Weeks ago, I interviewed a guy named Tanner Olson, and I told him a little bit about you because I was like, I have two people that I just booked to interview for No Matter What, and one was Tanner and one was you. And I was like, and y'all are both people that I have Instagram crushes on. Like, these are people that
Oh my gosh.
have followed forever, and I just love everything that you're posting. And so anyway, I mean, that is
Aw.
completely how we are connected, as I have just followed you for the last several years and watched as you post everything from very real to very funny things about motherhood and prenatal and postnatal and
Yep.
fitness and caring for yourself and building community with other moms. And anyway, it's like, I'm like, oh yeah, this is one of the women that I'll probably never meet. And then here we are that I follow and just have a big old Instagram crush on you. So,
Oh my goodness,
so
you're so sweet,
just
Hannah.
felt like I should confess that up front. Anyway, it really is, it's fun to connect in real life. So one of the things that I like to ask when I'm trying to get to know a person, instead of like a tell us more about yourself, is tell me about your 16-year-old self. Who were you at 16? And then tell me what your 16-year-old self would think about your life today. Like if we put her in a time machine and she got to show up today on this Tuesday morning in your house, would she be surprised? Would she be shocked? Would she, what would she think about all of this?
Honestly, I think 16-year-old Katy would not be shocked. I think as my life has gone on, my idea has shifted of kind of what
Yeah.
I wanted my life to look like.
Yeah.
But 16-year-old me, still I've always wanted to be a mom and a wife.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
did I think I was gonna marry a pastor? At that point, I think I probably would have been like, "Oh, yeah, totally."
Oh,
But then as
okay.
I got
Okay.
older, I was just like,
Yeah.
"Ugh, I don't know if I want that." Like, I don't wanna
Yeah.
that's just a lot of pressure and stress on top of everything. Like, that's how my brain used to think.
Yes.
Or definitely through college, I was thinking that because I my dad was a pastor and my husband is in
Okay.
school to become one now.
Yes.
We'll probably
Yes.
get into that as well. But yeah, my 16-year-old self, I had just my whole life been in homeschooling. And then sophomore year of high school, I went to actual high school. And then for 2 years, I was there. And then I went full time post secondary, so like full time college, my senior year of
Yeah.
high school.
Yes.
So yeah, that I think I was very silly, pretty immature. But I really valued time with my parents because I'm the sixth, and then I had a little brother. He's the seventh.
Okay.
And so we just got a lot of
7.
time, the two of us at home with my mom and dad, at
Yeah.
the end of my high school career. And so, yeah, I just enjoyed time with my parents, and I was kind of lame. Like I think I fit in with the quote unquote popular kids. I said this to my husband, like I think because I was pretty, like I fit in, but otherwise when it came to the parties and I was just kind of like on the outskirts of that group. I just kind of was doing my own thing, playing the violin,
Yeah.
piano, and
Yes.
just kind of yeah, getting ready for college and meeting my future husband. That's kind of where I was
Uh-huh.
at in life. So
That
I
was the
don't think
plan. Go to
I would
college,
not
get
be
that
surprised.
MRS degree.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Oh,
Do
100%. That, yeah.
do you remember a point in your life where you decided to make your faith your own, like aside from your parents?
I would say it's just been these last years. Um,
Wow.
just with, I don't know, like God softening my heart with my husband going
Mm,
into the ministry, because when he first brought it up to me, I said, Scott, that would literally ruin my life if you became a pastor. And I was like, and he was kind of taken aback, like, whoa, okay, well, I guess I'm not going to be a pastor if it's going to ruin your life.
right.
And so I just feel like I've had to be humbled a lot in motherhood,
Wow.
um, and just really leaning on God and his new mercies every single day, because I just
Yeah.
have realized that, wow, I'm learning all of this all the time. Like every single year
Yes.
in motherhood, you've never done this before. And even
That's
so, like,
right.
even if you talk to a mom, you're like, oh, you have 5 kids, you should have it all figured out. You're like, actually, I
Yeah.
don't, because I've never done this before. Like, I've
That's
never
right.
had a 10-year-old and a blah, 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 and a blah, blah, blah. Like, this is all
Yes.
new. I'm figuring this out. And I think my naive 16-year-old self felt like, oh, once I'm a mom, then I just have it all together. So I think maybe my
Yes.
16-year-old self would be like, why aren't you better at
Why?
things?
we- what I ask myself all the time is like, where's the adult that's supposed to be in charge here?
Yeah, like,
where's
oh,
my
that's me.
mom? I mean,
Yeah.
like, some someone needs to come and take control of the situation. I was just
Yes.
talking to a friend who said, she's like, I just thought when I became a mom, I would become holy. Like I would just
Yeah.
like instantly like kill these bad habits that I have that, she's like,
Yeah.
sometimes our bad habits are just a waste of time. She's like, but they eventually become sinful because we're not being good stewards of our time. She's like, so that she was talking about different things. And and I was like, I love that you have that vision. I thankfully did not, but I have become so painfully aware of how sinful I am and how inadequate I am in the journey of motherhood. Like nothing has humbled me and thrown me on my face like the job of
Yes.
motherhood. And I think to your point, I tell my oldest, he's almost 8. Um, at any time that we have a, kerfuffle where like maybe he did something wrong, but I didn't respond in the right way or whatever, it almost always ends up at some point me saying, "Pal, I'm so sorry. Like I've just never been a mom to an 8-year-old. Like I'm
Yeah.
still learning. Like
I'm
you
making
more
mistakes
than your
too.
younger siblings. Like they all teach me something. I mean, because you can say today I've never had exactly this age and exactly this stage or
Yeah.
whatever, but it's like you more than the others teach me how to be
Yeah.
a mom.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, pal.
Yeah.
Okay, let's back up. Okay, so you go to college. Did you meet Scott in college?
Yeah. Yep, so I was a
Okay.
sophomore in college and he was a senior, and yeah, we met, like, the first week of that year, and I don't know, it was like I knew immediately, like, this guy will be in my life for the rest of my
Yeah.
life. We just
Yeah.
and I'll never forget sitting down because we met in the lunch line, and I knew of him because it was a very small Christian college, like, everyone knows everyone,
Mhm.
and I sat down with my friends and I said, "Scott Fassett just talked to me." It's like, that was, like, so weird. And then they were all like, weird. And then we just went on with our life. And then he added me on Facebook because at the time that's what you do.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then
Yeah.
started talking to me right away. And then we were just kind of inseparable from that moment on. So we started dating like a month after that, and then got married a year after that. Or not married,
Wow.
engaged, and then married a year after that. So we
Okay.
dated,
Yes.
I guess, for a year, engaged for a year. Then
Yeah.
we've been married for
Yeah.
almost 10 years. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so what did you think life would look like? Like, he wasn't going to be a pastor at that time. So what was his kind of vocational
Yeah.
aspirations?
So
What were you
he
thinking you wanted to do?
Yeah, I just wanted to be a mom and just be
Mom.
home and just be home, but then, it's like we got married young, had kids young, and so I kind of had this idea in my head that, like, financially, like, everything's going to be easy, and that just wasn't the case.
Yeah.
And, we had student loans and other debt, and then, buying a house, and it was just like I felt like we were house poor those first like 4 years, if not more, of our marriage and having kids. And so we just lived on a very strict budget and just didn't spend on anything. Like, we just weren't, doing life experiences because we were just having babies. And, he became a financial advisor. And so that's what he was doing. But even on that, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's like any sales job. If you're a realtor or
Yeah.
whatever, you can have great months, you can have really bad months, and it's not
Yeah.
predictable. And so that was just really hard because we'd be like, "Oh, this was an awesome month, and woohoo, we got to pay all our bills." And the next month it was like,
Yeah.
"Oh crap!" Like, so, anyways, it was just
Yeah.
that part was harder on me than I thought. I just kind of had this
Mm.
image in my mind, like once I'm married and a mom, I'm an adult and money is easy and everything's going to be worked out and my husband will be making enough so that we don't have to worry about this. And then as
Yep.
time went on, I was working for his dad for a while. I was doing a bunch of different things. Oh my goodness. I was a nanny. I worked at Plato's Closet for a while, if you know what that is. I
Uh-huh,
worked for
I
his
do.
dad as an administrative assistant. His dad is my father-in-law is an engineer. And so he had this whole business that he had started and I was just kind of doing like admin work because my degree was in business. And
Okay.
then I also was a receptionist at this like retina eye clinic. And so I was just doing a bunch of different things. And then when I had my second, that's when I just kind of realized like, I just can't, this is just too
This is
many
hard.
things
It's
to
hard.
do
Yeah.
and be mom. And I was just feeling the mental like load and just the stress. And then at that time, that's when Beachbody came into so those who don't know my story, I was
Yeah.
a Beachbody coach or a body partner. And you can watch my YouTubes. I kind of talk about that journey. But I was with them for 6 years and I will forever be grateful for that time in my life because it really taught me just discipline, getting my workouts in. But it also became a job that I really liked. Do
Yes.
would I ever go back to it now? No, like that was a chapter that's closed, and I'm not going back to that, and for other reasons. But it was just a huge part of my life, and it just kind of gave us this door to dreaming again and being able to go on a
Mm.
trip and pay for
Yeah.
things. And I remember like, I just want to make enough money so I can buy nice makeup. That was kind of my goal.
Oh my god.
And so I was like, as soon as I could buy like nice makeup and skincare, I was like, I've made it.
I made
Um,
it.
yeah, yeah, no, that was like my whole like pushing forward. And so I was just feeling like, wow, like we are doing really well financially. We've paid off all our debt, like we paid off all our student loans and our cars,
Huge.
and we still had like our house, mortgage or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I was just feeling like, wow, like it felt like we were quote unquote rich because we had been living so like
Yeah.
miserly for so long. And
Yeah.
then that's when my husband, so like it finally felt like life is easy. And then that's when my
Mm.
husband dropped the ball of I think I need to like go into the ministry. Like I really feel
Yeah.
this tug on my heart to become a pastor. And then that's when I was like, are you kidding me? Like this would ruin my life. Like no, like finally things feel somewhat easy and now
Yes.
we're going to mess it all up.
Yes.
So that was how I felt. But then obviously my heart kind of changed and that was, all thanks to God and just timing and just softening and just realizing that, hey, if this is really what you feel called to do, Scott, I'm going to support you in that. And
Yeah.
I knew God would just carry us through. So yeah, now we're in this season of life where I'm kind of doing a bunch of different things. My husband works on the side and goes to school full time and it's messy and we're pregnant with our
Yeah.
fifth. So
Yes.
it's very messy,
Yes.
but
Yes.
God's carrying us through. So
Yeah, that's right. So, how long would you say that it took for you to go from like absolutely not over my dead body to like, okay, let's do it? Because I mean, y'all packed up and moved, right? Like y'all moved to
yeah,
wherever he's
no,
attending
yep,
seminary.
yep,
Yeah.
yeah. We
That's
had
I mean,
it
that's
was
big.
a
That's even
giant.
bigger than just like, hey, I want to change my job. That's going to mean an income loss for us for a little bit. Or like, I mean, it's you almost changed absolutely everything you could change about your life in
Yes,
in
and
one moment.
yep. And that's the other thing is like growing up as a pastor's kid, I knew what
Mhm.
it was going to look like
It looked
financially
like.
for our life too, because my dad was a pastor and he had 7 kids, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and so they just lived very simply, and that's how I grew up, and I just kind of had this taste of like I liked having more and I liked being able
Yeah.
to just like buy the nice things for the kids at
Yeah.
Christmas and not have to worry. And so anyway, so for me, it took time because I think he had brought it up in May and I basically squashed it right then and there. And then it was in July that our pastor had a sermon on people needing to go into the ministry and how there's such a lack of pastors right now.
Wow.
And so I was sitting in the pew and he just started saying how he's like, if you know of anyone who you think would be good at this, um, who like, and it's not even sometimes people who are like, oh, they're such great speakers. It's like God
Right.
can use, and like even in the Bible, like he used
Yeah.
so many different people
Yeah.
to bring God's word to his flock. And so I'm
Yes.
sitting there and I'm just like, oh my goodness, Scott, would make an amazing pastor. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, like he's so good with people. He's an amazing public speaker. He is like, anyone who talks to him, they're like, you can make complicated things so simplified that anyone can understand. And like, that's a compliment he gets often. And he has a really good
That's
speaking
huge.
voice. And he's just just like an excited person about life. And he just
Yeah.
makes you excited about whatever it is he's talking about. And so I was just sitting there like, Katie, what is wrong with you? Like, your husband wants to do this noble thing to go and change. And I'm like, and
Yeah.
you're just worried about all this worldly, stupid stuff. Like, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, we're going to have less money and it won't be as like easy. But the other thing is like, I know we're going to be blessed through this too. And we already have been. And
Yeah.
so I was just sitting there in the pew, just feeling like God was like staring at me and the pastor was staring at me. And I know I know the pastor wasn't, but in my mind, I was just so like internally conflicted. And then when we got home that day, I looked at Scott and we were having lunch and I was like, what'd you think of the sermon? And then he looked at me and he's like, what did you think of the sermon? And then I was like, you know what, Scott, like, if this is what you want, because at that point we weren't like, he had brought it up and then I was like, no, like no way. And then we had never
Yeah.
talked about it again.
Yeah.
And then I had said, I'm like, if this is something that you actually are serious about, I'm not going to stand in your way. Like, I'm not going to be the person where, 20 years down the road, you're like, I really wanted to be a pastor. And then my wife just never was supportive.
Yeah.
It's like that. I just
Yeah.
didn't want
Wow.
that to be our story. And I knew God was going to work it out, even though in my mind, I could not see the path. I still don't really see the path. It's hard to
Right.
know what's going to happen here.
Yeah.
Anyways, the next day he started calling around to different seminaries, and then we started visiting seminaries that fall. And then I think it was by November we had decided where we were going to go, and then we moved in June. So it was like less than a year we moved, and then he started. But the thing is that in our programs, it's like I don't know, master's, or is it not a doctorate? I don't know.
An MDiv?
But yeah. Yes. Thank you. And so it's like a 4-year program, but he has to
Yeah.
have languages before he can even start. So he had
Yep.
to learn Greek and
Yep.
Hebrew. So I
Yep.
don't know, it's just different because I know so many church bodies are different. and, and so some people are like, my dad was a pastor, but he didn't even go to school. And I'm like, well, that's
Right.
not the case for us. Like, it's
Right.
actually a really big process. I'm like,
Yeah.
that would be
Huge
nice.
requirements.
Yeah, I know. Like, it's actually like a massive thing. And not only are
Yeah.
they learning academically, they're learning how to really serve and be a pastor. Like, it's
Yeah.
a big thing. So
Yeah.
anyways, so it's hard. It's hard on my end,
Yeah.
just like knowing that like what he's doing is good, but then also selfishly being like, you're super busy and this is really stressful and it's
Yeah.
hard financially right now. And it feels lonely. And I feel like I don't have
Yeah.
people who understand. And I know I do, but it's like the devil can just, those lies can just start to come up of like, nobody
Yes.
gets it and you're all alone and like, why are you doing this? And
Yes.
I don't know. And it goes against the world because it's like, you change your jobs to have more money and to have this and to have more. And it's like, we're changing our jobs to have less,
Yeah.
but it's not less in that way. Like, we are
Right.
genuinely getting more.
Yes.
It's just not in the worldly sense. So
Yes. That's right. That's right. So Scott brings it up and you squash it. And what has he told you since then? Like, was he like actively praying every day that you change your mind, or was he just like, okay, we're not doing it until that
yeah,
sermon? Or
he was very much just, if my wife's not on board, I'm not going to push this. If it's going
I'm
to
not going to
ruin her
ruin our
life.
marriage. And
Yeah,
yeah.
like he was just like, it's not that important to me that I have to, like, he's just not that person who's like, I'm just gonna bulldoze through everything, even though my wife completely is against this. So it was kind of like he was so on board, but the only thing holding him back was me. So as soon as I was like, I'm not going to be the thing holding you back, and I'm here, and I'm actually going to be supportive, and I know God will carry us through. Then he was like, oh, okay. And then, so he was just ready to go. So he was just kind of waiting for me, but he never was like, ugh, I wish I was a pastor, but I can't be because you're,
totally.
like he just kind of dropped it, which honestly, I think was good, because if he had continued to bring it up, I would have just been like, you're annoying. And now I don't even want to say yes or something. I don't know. But he really didn't bring it up again from that from that point.
Yeah.
And we had other conversations like before that too. And I had seen it with my own eye. Like there was many times where I would just be like, oh man, Scott would be like such a good pastor. Or he would just casually say, like, "Ah, just makes me feel like I should be a pastor." And then it was just kind of like we always had these moments of like, this is what he should be doing, but he's in this job
Uh-huh.
that he's good at, but
Yeah.
it's just definitely not his calling. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it's so interesting. I think whether you get married super young or, I mean, my husband and I were almost 30. We both turned 30 right after we got married, which I guess it's relatively young. It depends on when you get
yeah,
married.
depends who you
But
talk. I know to me, I'm like I was 21. Yeah.
yeah, like that's very young compared to me. But then
Yes.
like do have friends that got married in their 40s, like first
Yes.
time marriage.
Exactly.
But
Yep.
um,
All relative.
you know, regardless of your age, you meet someone, you decide you're going to spend the rest of your life with them, and you both probably have a pretty clear picture of what that looks like. Like you've decided
Yes.
together, like this is going to be your job, and this is what I'm going to do, and this is what we're getting married to, like go down this path. And probably more often than not, that path shifts, and sometimes it is a
Mhm.
job change, or I mean, it's one thing for a spouse to want to change industries or careers. I am also a PK. So the difference
Oh, I
of
didn't
just
realize that.
like some sort of career versus ministry and like being a
Yes.
pastor at a local
It's so
church
different.
or whatever, I mean, what a very big difference. And I think probably just like you, it's like coming from being a PK, it's like, whoa, I know exactly what this looks like. And I don't
Yes.
know. I mean, I actually, growing up in high school and college was like, never. I will never marry a man who says he wants to be a pastor. And that's not, my dad is incredible. My parents are incredible.
Yes.
I had an
Yep. No,
incredible
I feel you.
childhood and upbringing. Like it's not out of anything negative that I didn't want that.
Yes.
I don't know, I just didn't want it. And so it's funny because I mean, I remember
Yep.
telling my husband, but when we were dating, like he had helped plant a church and was like being their church admin. Now, meanwhile, he had his own company that he was running, but I was like, I need to
Yep.
make sure that you're going to stay an entrepreneur and businessman
And
moving
not.
over here because
Yes.
I don't want to do this. I guess where I was trying to go to is like, we have to choose over and over with our spouses to say yes to them deciding maybe they want our futures to look a little bit different together. And
Right.
sometimes it's like in opposition to what we think we want.
Yes.
But it's like, okay, I committed to this person. I love them dearly. If this is what God has put on their heart, I'm going to trust that. And we're going to do this. And this is maybe going to be a bigger moment of faith and not really sure what God's doing on my, like, I'm kind of maybe doubting or maybe struggling a little bit, but like the Lord will carry us through. Anyway, I think it's fun watching. I'll be excited to see where y'all.
I know. And people ask me, they're like, do you get to choose where you go once he's called to be
Yeah.
pastor? I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
Like,
Nope.
nope. We just get
Not
called.
how
And
this.
I've had some people say, like, oh, like, are you gonna is he gonna be like a mega church pastor? I'm like, no, like that's not the kind of church we're
That's not
a
our
part of. Like
denomination.
I know, I'm like, it's kind of like there's maybe gonna be 50 people at church on a Sunday. Like we'll just see. It might be 100. I don't know. Like depends on where we get called. So we could get called to a new missionary church. Like we just don't know. And so
Yeah.
so yeah, it's very it's small
Yeah.
potatoes when you think about that, but also I know that you can make a massive difference in those small
Yeah.
congregations and
That's right.
sometimes more because you actually can really spend time with those people and help them. So
Yeah.
anyways,
Yeah.
we just
Yeah.
we have no idea what the future holds, which is hard
Yeah.
as someone who's anxious, who likes to plan, who likes to be in control.
Yeah.
And God is showing me again and again that I am not in control of anything. So I'm just like,
Yes.
I just gotta let it go and give it to
Yes.
God. Yeah.
Yes. So I know a huge thing for you has been community, specifically in like new motherhood or like
Mhm.
not even just brand new motherhood. Like I feel like every time you have a baby, you kind of enter a new chapter of
Yes.
motherhood. I love talking about community and making friends. I have a book coming out in February, and one of the chapters is about specifically about pursuing friendship, like deep friendships, and then also
Oh, I
Christ-centered
love that.
friendships. Because I think I grew up like my dad really taught me what it looked like to pursue people. I mean, he
Mhm.
would always say like everyone wants best friends, but like you have to be the best friend that you want. You have to chase after other people. Obviously, at some point, you need to make sure it's like reciprocal and you're not
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like chasing after
Can't
someone
just
they're
be
not
a
really interested
one-sided
in you.
thing, yeah.
But But
Yeah.
anyway, so I feel like I grew up really knowing how to make friends and build community. And after having my first, and I worked well, I mean, I guess I never stopped different jobs, different seasons, whatever. But like
Yeah.
I was working part-time, I had a newborn, and I remember just telling my mom, like, I have best friends. But I feel so lonely.
Mhm.
And it's like the mom friends that I have that are home full time, they kind of have their own rhythms. And then I
Yes.
have mom friends that work full time and they have their own rhythms. And I'm like,
Yep.
there's actually just not a lot of moms like me that work part time.
Yes.
And I was like, I don't know if that's my problem. And she looked at me and she said, honey, you're just in the lonely years. Like, and I was like,
Mhm.
what? And she
Yeah.
said,
Like, wait, what?
she's like, for my life, this was the loneliest season because you're raising all these tiny people who are
Who really need you.
incredibly physically demanding of
Yeah.
your time and attention and your emotions and your mental, I mean,
Mhm.
everything. They need
Yeah.
all of you.
Yeah.
And so even if you have the margin in your day or in your week schedule, it's even hard to like
Give
get
that
the
up.
energy to reach out to someone else
Yeah.
and to spend time with other people. And she's like, but you need that because you need those friends pouring into you so that you're not running on E. But
Yes.
anyway, I'm just curious if that's kind of similar to your story too.
No, I think that was I was very lonely right with my first baby. Like that was probably the loneliest time I've ever
Hmm.
had because we had just moved to a small town of like 1,000 people. Scott was working 30 minutes away. I had just graduated college, lost that whole friend group, and now, or I mean, not lost them, but you know what I mean? Like
They weren't
we went
there
from
in
seeing
your
each other every single day
yeah,
to
yeah.
now we don't see you. To being in a new town and a new mom. Plus, I was struggling with postpartum depression and anxiety and just feeling super alone and anxious, and then wondering what was wrong with me. Cause that
Mm,
was my internal thought all the time was like,
yeah.
wow, you suck. And like, you're so bad at this. Like, you don't even want anyone to see how bad you are as a mom because I just thought this was going to come easy to me. I'm like, oh, like, and anything that would happen with the baby, like my baby had my firstborn had really bad acid reflux, so he was like a happy
uh,
spitter, but he would spit up all the
my
time. So I was
firstborn
doing
was the same,
laundry.
like
Yep.
projectile. I thought it was
Right.
normal
No.
until we had our second,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh,
Yes, like, actually, that was
babies don't
so
do
messed
this.
up. Yes, no, like, I literally think back, and I remember my sister-in-law said to me she had had, like, 4 babies at that time, and I had gotten all these birth cloths for my baby shower, and she's like, "Oh, Katie, I would return some of those and get something else because 'cause you're not gonna need those." Oh,
Yeah.
I needed those. I think I kept 1
Yes.
pack, and I had to buy more because I was like, we just had burp cloths all over because it was just spit
Same.
up all the time,
Same.
and so I became very self-conscious of him spitting up and just felt like, what
Mm,
if people think it's because of my breast milk and what, and it's like I just had such messed up
yeah.
thoughts that like no one's thinking that, but because you're so hormonal, you're so
Yeah.
anxious, you're so depressed, like all everything is just like caving in on you. And then I was just very lonely. And I have a friend to this day, she'll just bring up, she's like, Katie, I remember seeing you, like I had gone to visit, it was my friend's like bridal shower or something, and she's like, I just could see it on you, like you were struggling so bad. And she didn't have kids at that point, and she's like, I didn't even know what to say or do, but like
I know.
you were not yourself. And so that was such a lonely time. And then when I got pregnant shortly after with my second, I just remember telling myself like, I can't do this again. I need to do something different. And that's kind of when Beachbody came into my life, which is why I'm like, I always have like a soft spot in my heart for it
Yeah.
because I was in a really vulnerable spot, which, can sometimes be when those types of things come into women's lives. So there's like a give or take, like that's kind of messed
Yeah.
up, but also it can be a giant blessing. And for me, it
But
really
it
was
was a
because it brought
lifeline
me,
for you.
yeah, it
Yeah.
really was because it just brought me that fitness aspect, which really helped with my mental health. And then it
Yeah.
brought me a community and it kind of brought me like another purpose outside of motherhood that I could just kind of focus on and have control on that because I just realized I can't control motherhood. Like I can't control how my baby is. I can't
Mm,
control their sleep. I can't control when they poop or pee or when they spit up or, it's like, so having just
yeah.
kind of this work, like this thing that I could post on social media and share just like what was going on. And that was just my outlet at that time
Yeah.
in my life.
Yeah.
And so that really became my community. And then when we would have like meetups and it forced me to get to know people when I was really becoming really introverted, because my natural tendency is to be pretty introverted. It may not seem like that, but my husband knows. And
No,
like,
that
I'm this
surprises
true
me.
introvert. Like,
Yeah.
I feel rejuvenated when I can just be home. Like the days where he's like, Katie, you're so happy. I'm like, that's because I could be home all day and I could clean and I could organize and then I got to read and then I like that just lights
Yeah.
me up. It's when because when I see people, I love talking, but I just
Yeah.
get very worn
It
out.
takes energy. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
does. And I know like extroverts, that's where they get their energy. And I'm like, I just get really worn out. So, anyways, it really was just nice for me to have that community, and it forced me to get out of my introverted self and to make friends and to message those people and to talk to people that I just kind of lost contact with. And then just having that wellness community where we're all focused on like, okay,
Yeah.
when can we get our workouts in because we're busy moms, and when can we, meal prep and do. And so it just kind of helped me focus on these healthy lifestyle choices that I just totally threw out the window after having
Yeah.
kids. So yeah, that was just, it was a beautiful time, but now I've just kind of learned other ways to make friends, and it doesn't have to be around business. And I would say
Hmm.
that's probably been the hardest part for me this last year, is that so it's almost been a year. It's like September 30th, we found out that
Wow.
Beachbody was closing down their partner opportunity. So my
Yep.
job was going away, which was providing for our family financially.
Yeah.
And it was just and then I just, it's like, I'm still friends with those ladies, but we used to be in contact every single day, and
All
now we're not.
day. Yeah. Yeah.
So that has been a learning curve for me this year of like, okay, I really have to force myself to message people and talk, because otherwise it was like we were just talking every day because it was just natural and we had things to talk
Right.
about. And now it's like, wow, I really have to work for this. So for me, my like, I don't know, the way I show love to my friends is just random drop-ins, meeting up at the park, grabbing them coffee. I've had so many friends who've had babies this year. It was like each person kept saying, I'm pregnant, I'm pregnant. And I remember thinking like, I know I'm not ready for a baby because I don't have baby fever from this. Because old me would have been like, and so when we found
I
out we were
need
pregnant with
another
this one, it
baby.
was like, wait, what? I'm like, ah, it was just, this has been a very like humbling experience, this pregnancy. Just so funny. But anyways, and so that has just been a lot of like visiting them after they have baby and bringing them a meal, and just, I don't know, it's a wild time because all my friends are in the wild thick of it as I am.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
told
As
my
you
mom
are.
that one
Yeah.
day. I was like, I just feel like we're all just stressed out of our minds and we're just busy and our nap schedules don't line up and all these things. And
Yep.
my mom said, Katie, you need to get like a mom who's old. Like a mom friend who's old, because then she's out of the thick of this. And like, you're right, mom, because it is like so I think that's a hard part for me right now, is that I'm still having babies. I have a lot of friends who are having babies, and just finding the time. But I do have like a core group where we do really force ourselves to make the time. And I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
And it's always kind of messy, but we just take it for what it is. And Scott's so good about, he's always like, hey, go, you just gotta go. Like and I'm always the one that's like, no, I shouldn't either. Like,
Right.
I get in my head. So
Right.
anyways,
Right.
friendship in these little years is hard, but I think
It
just
is.
kind of letting go of perfection has helped me a lot.
Mm.
Of like, it's not going to look like how it looks in the movies, and you may not have that friend who can just pop over every single day, but you just kind
Right.
of make it work. Like yesterday I was going to the park and I saw all these people at the park. I'm like, oh no, I hate when it's so busy. And then I realized like three of the moms were from our church. I'm like, wait, I know these moms. And then I was like, this is the best day ever. And so then I just went, and
Yes.
it was just like a surprise. And I was like, that was my social interaction for the morning. And then
Yes.
it's back at home
Yes.
with my little kids who are just asking me to wipe their boogers and make them food. And so I know you just take it for what it is and you just kind of go with the flow. Sorry, that was a very long
Yes.
answer. So.
No, no, I love it. I mean, you're right. I think that is so the hardest part is when life is really, really busy and you're kind of drowning in all of these absolutely necessary responsibilities. I mean, I remember like a year ago writing some things and being like, there's nothing that can give right now. Like, it's easy to say like, you're too busy. You need to cut things out. And it's like, no, literally, I have cut the fat. Like I've trimmed out everything that
Yes.
can be,
Yes.
but I have to do I have to feed my children 3 meals a day. have
Yeah.
to do laundry. I have to. And yes, sometimes financially we can outsource some of these things, but like at the end of the day, sisters got to get all this stuff done. And
Yeah.
when you feel like you're already drowning in all that stuff, and all your friends are too, or the women that you would want to be connecting with, it feels it just feels defeating to even try to cultivate friendships and pursue people. And
Yes.
I think because I've gone from a season of being like, well, it's fine, I can just do this on my own, to flipping the switch to, no, I am going to actively pursue this short list of women right now in this season. And sometimes the list changes based on the time
Yep.
of the year it is, or like whatever,
Yep.
but just the encouragement that you get. Again, it goes back to, I think it's so easy for us to believe the lie that we're alone and that we're
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
doing this on our
Oh, I
own.
feel like
And that's
that's, like,
just,
the lie that the
not
devil, like,
only is that not true,
feeds to
that's
me all
not
the
how
time.
God designed it. Like, he
No.
designed us to be in community with one another and with him. But like, part of our communion with him is being in community with each other, and not just like, oh, church community, you go on Sundays. And no, it's like,
Yeah.
no, like,
Yep.
do be in each other's real lives. I think another huge thing for me, I hated play dates. So what I've learned, I think one of my biggest things in motherhood is that, well, one, I learned that I'm actually not a great multitasker. I don't think anyone is, but we used to live
I
under
know,
this
I think we
this
pretend that we
belief
are.
that we can
What
multitask.
I can do is I can wash dishes and listen to a podcast. That's my
Yeah.
multitasking. That's as far
Yes,
as I go.
exactly. Exactly.
I'm like, that's the extent. Yeah.
Yes. And so play dates for me feel like I'm trying to multitask being with my kids and like
Yes.
having good
Having a
connection
good.
with a peer.
Yes.
And
No,
I
I would
don't do either
struggle.
well.
Yeah.
So then
Yep.
I learned, I was like, I hate these, because I walk away feeling like I have no idea what's going on in her life, because every time I
Yeah.
try to ask her a question, I'm like, oh, Pax is about to
Yes.
run off a cliff over there, or
Yep.
like whatever.
No, yeah.
Um,
Same thing, Hannah. Same thing. Like,
but
I've learned, I'm just like, I'd rather just meet up solo for like a breakfast date on a Saturday
yes,
morning and we talk
yes,
for an hour and a half or 2 hours, and then I come home to my kids and then I can be mom. But it's like,
yes,
it's so hard. And sometimes like you just have to do the play date. But I'm like, if I'm actually genuinely wanting to be your friend and get to know you, I can't do it with my kids around, because then it's on our
completely.
kids. It's not our friendship. Like, it's
Yes,
just, we're
yes,
just side by side parenting. Like, I don't
yes.
know. I don't know.
No, totally. No,
Yeah.
I'm 100% agreement. One thing that Tyler and I did off and on is we would choose a night of the week, and he would say like Tuesdays this month, or like pick 2 Tuesdays. Those are your 2 nights of the month to go out with
Yep.
friends. I'll pick 2 Tuesdays a month to go out with
Yep.
my friends. But it's like
Yep.
built in. You don't have to get a babysitter. You don't have to like feel guilty or whatever. And then the other thing I started trying to do was just text, again, like a small group of friends. And I would
Mhm.
usually individually text people, but like, how can I pray for you this week? That's probably my favorite question, because you get right to the point on like,
Yes. Like, tell me
whether
your
it's
struggles.
like,
Yeah.
yes. And it's
I
like,
don't
okay,
want the fluff.
exactly. Now I know what's going on in your life, and I feel connected to you because I can be praying for you and this thing. And then I have something to follow up on with you. Um,
Yep.
when I want to text you later, next time I can see you or whatever. But okay, so changing the channel a little bit, you have such a fun and joyful and sometimes even like silly, I don't mean that in a bad way, but like
No,
take
I am
on
very silly.
motherhood on
Yeah.
Instagram. Yeah, it's good. Like, it's good. I love silly. I do.
If you know me in
I laugh at
person,
my
you know I'm silly. Yeah.
even silly. I
It's not a facade
just
online. This is the way I am. Yeah.
I love that so much. And I think the older I get, I think the sillier and kind of just more ridiculous I become. I'm like, I don't know
Yeah.
that I thought I would be this ridiculous of like a mom, but I
Yeah.
find so much
Life's so
joy and
serious.
delight in making my kids
Yeah.
like laugh. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I like kind of being ridiculous. Anyway, um, so that is what we see on Instagram, but I'm curious what something that's been really hard that maybe like,
Oh.
well, that obviously people wouldn't have seen on Instagram.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Yeah. There's probably a lot of things. There's probably a lot of things. And that's the thing, is like social media is so like you get a very surface
Tiny little
level.
slice.
Um,
Yep.
yeah, I think for me, I I'm such a routine person. I love having like my rhythm and my routine and my control. And so since we've moved here, I've just felt everything is out of control. And
Mhm.
like finding my new rhythm, and then I finally was kind of like getting back into things, and then my job was lost, and then
Mm-hmm.
having to re-navigate that. And so I think that a lot of people online, like I'll get messages like, "Kate, you're so inspiring that you've figured this all out." I'm like, actually, I haven't. Like, like
Yeah.
actually, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so I think sometimes, you just get a little small piece of it, but it is just, and I say that a lot because it's true, but we are just in a very hard season of life, and it's wonderful, and there's a lot of joy, but just with Scott being in school and just transition and just jobs changing and adding more kids and just all the newness. And then our kids are kind of understanding that, like, we won't be here forever. And so now they're kind of like, wait, we're going to like have to move in 2 years. And and so
Yeah.
it's just hard. It's just hard. So I feel like I don't do the best job in sharing that online because I
Yeah.
don't even know how to share it. But I think those
Right.
parts, and then just knowing what direction to go online too with
Mm.
what I share and how I show up. I feel like I always question how I'm doing with that because
Mm.
there's, and especially since the whole Beachbody thing is over, that was such a big part of what I shared. And then now I don't know how to share and encourage women on their health journey without making it so like body focused, like on the way
Mm.
your body looks, and just kind of, I don't know. So there's just that's what I struggle with, is just like,
Yeah.
what am I doing? That's why I don't know. Like, what? I don't know. It's
Honestly,
so,
same.
I'm like,
All the time.
yeah. It just, yeah, I think it just, there's so many moms that I follow where I'm like, yo, you just have it so together. And I'm like, no, they
Mm.
don't. Like, we're all like,
Right.
this is just, why do I even think that? Because if you
Right.
see someone, they have like a spotless house, well, then they probably haven't made a dinner in a while. Or, it's like if you see
Right.
a mom who's super blah, 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 like then maybe she never works out. Or like, it's like there's always give or take. Like, we just,
There's always
no,
something, yeah,
yes,
that
like,
we're dropping.
yeah, there's something. And it's just, we all have our struggles. So that's
Yeah.
that's my struggle
Yeah.
in a nutshell.
Yeah. No,
I,
no,
I,
I,
I didn't
I
even answer
think
the question. I don't know.
no, I think the first part you talking about, just trying to even figure out what you would share or how you should share about the things that are more
Yeah.
challenging in the current season you're in. I literally just had this conversation with my husband this morning about, like, I'm like, sometimes I think when you're right in the middle of it, you shouldn't be sharing about it.
I
Like,
know. Yeah, it's just like
sometimes
too
if
much,
things are
too close.
so vulnerable or so new or fresh, it's like
Yes.
maybe I need to have a little bit of distance
Yes.
before I can be talking about it. And sometimes I do think, something is going on in our life, and we can, like, God has equipped us and
Yep.
given us the ability to share from the middle. Cause I do think that's important, right? Like, we don't just only want to be sharing our stories when they're like wrapped up in a nice little bow at the end.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes there's wisdom in going, okay, this right
Yeah.
here
Just being
doesn't need to
still.
be for public consumption. Our closest friends are going to know, I mean, we have to
Yeah.
let some people in, but we're not going to paint this on the billboards of Instagram and
Yeah.
YouTube or whatever right now for everyone else to
Yeah. I
take
agree.
in.
And it's kind of like if you haven't processed through it and you're not super confident in it, like you don't want people picking it apart. And that's kind of where I'm
Right.
at. Like even
Yeah.
this weekend, we like painted our kitchen cabinets, and I shared a picture, and then someone was like, "Why would you ever paint those cabinets? They were so good before." And I was like, and it's just like, and I'm a sensitive person, and so I'm like, if I haven't
Yeah.
fully, if I haven't prepped myself for, like, some people are gonna hate it, and some people are gonna say this, and
Yeah.
for me, it's like people don't get um changing jobs to go into the ministry, and we've gotten comments about that, or it's one of those things where I'm like, well, we chose this, so I can't complain about it, and like that's
Yeah.
pretty messed up if I complain. And so
Yeah.
I just have like so many, and then I don't know, it's just it's a lot. But I think you're right. I think I am just kind of like, maybe when we're past this season, I can reminisce and talk about how we got through it, but we
Uh-huh.
are just very much in the thick of it. So yeah.
Well, and it's so interesting too, because like what you're trying to do is you're just trying to like encourage other women. Like at the end of the day, right? Like you're
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
encourage other women.
Yeah.
Maybe more specifically in motherhood, postpartum, fitness, like
Mhm.
that's really where you love, where you hone in a
Well,
little
that's
bit
like
more.
what
But
kind of, yeah, gets me going. Makes me
yeah,
feel me.
and so then for if that's your hope, and then people are coming back at you like criticizing your choices or telling you that
Yes.
like you're like I literally have just showing up here to like give light and to be
Yes.
encouraging and let you know you're not
Yeah.
alone, and that like that I believe in you. Like even if you don't believe in
Yeah.
yourself right now, like I'm telling you, you can do this and you can take care of yourself, and there's joy on the other side of this, and you like all
Mhm.
that. It's just pretty wild. It's pretty wild. The internet is just an
I
interesting
know,
place where
I feel like it's
people,
just gotten weirder. Like,
yeah.
I don't know, there's just so many people on it, and there's so many opinions, and it's just kind of a weird place. So I think
Well,
you
and
just
it's
do
like
kinda have to guard your heart a little bit.
and it's like if I'm not your cup of tea, great.
Yeah,
Like
go somewhere
go
else. Yeah,
elsewhere. Yeah, like I don't, I think I'm grateful. I think my parents raised me to be very confident and to know like I am liked and loved by many, but I'm also maybe not liked and loved by others.
yeah.
And that's okay. Like as long as I haven't done something
Yeah, like, actually
wrong.
wrong or yeah.
Yeah. Like it's okay. I don't need everyone to like me, but still it's still at the end of the day, you're like, it would be nice if everyone liked me, you know?
I know.
Like
Oh,
that
I am
would be
such yeah, that has been the hardest thing for me is I just wanna make everyone happy, and I just am a people pleaser, and being the youngest of a big family, I'm like, "Oh, if I can make people laugh and make them happy, like, that
yes.
is what gets me attention, and it was what, people like," and so it's
Yes.
been hard when, people can't get the joke or they just don't get it, and then I'll oftentimes have to go to Scott like, "This person says I'm this," and he's like, "Well, what?" Like, but
Yeah.
it's just hurtful. But then when I talk to my husband and my family, and I'm like, if I know I'm right with God and I'm right with my family, it just doesn't matter what. And
That's right.
they saw one little clip for 10 seconds and they made a
That's
snap
right.
judgment and you don't know who I am. And so, yeah, it's hard. And then when I'm like pregnant or postpartum and hormonal, I'm just like, ah, like crying at everything.
No.
It
No.
doesn't make it easy. So,
No.
anyways,
Too much.
there's
It's too
that.
much. I've been studying 1st and 2nd Thessalonians, and he says it several times in different ways, and I'm looking down because it's on my desk, open on my desk right now. But Paul wrote, "As for human praise, we have never sought it from you or anyone else." And then like earlier, he says, "Our purpose is to please God, not people." And I feel like these are the verses right now that I feel like I'm like building an armor around my body, but it really needs to be more like something that I'm putting in front of my eyes. Like my
Yes.
purpose is not to please people. I
Yes.
am not
Yep.
seeking human praise. And I think
Yep.
our flesh, our sinful flesh is so wired to seek human praise. And it's like, no, like God has made me a new creation. The only person's approval that I need, well, is the Lord. I don't, and
Yep.
so I'm not going to seek human praise. And when human criticism comes, or I don't get the praise that I want or think I deserve or whatever, like I can take that as a moment to pause and go, okay, I don't need human praise. I want to be able to say I mean, I can't, I'll never be able to say that because I have sought human praise, but like I want to be able to say, from here forward, like I am no longer seeking human praise. I only seek to praise or to please the Lord.
It can be a slippery slope on social media, and I've
Yeah.
just kind of taken not like taken a step back, but I just really have in this season because I'm like, I just can't give so much time to it
Yeah.
and attention because as much as you try to guard your heart and be like, "Oh, I don't care about the views and I don't care about the likes and I don't care what people say,"
Yeah.
we're human, and it's just
Right.
really hard to separate it and not
Yeah.
care about all of it.
Yeah.
So I just really have to take breaks a lot lately.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
to
I
let
think
it
that's
let
I
it
think
be because
we
it
all
doesn't
need to
matter.
take breaks. Even
Yeah.
if we are not creating for a purpose other than just sharing our lives. I think everyone needs breaks from social
Yeah.
media.
Yeah.
Okay, my last question, because
Yeah.
I've used so much of your time. I would just love to hear one thing that you feel like God is teaching you right now that's stretching you or surprising you.
So many things.
Mm,
But I think he's just really teaching me that my purpose is being a mom. And that is
mm,
my number one purpose right now. And it really, I think, was losing my identity as a body partner because I didn't realize how much I wrapped my worth up in the
mm.
ranks and how much I was making in the ranks and the accolades and all of that. And then when that went away, I was just like, oh no, like I was just really struggling with what my worth is. And I think I've just really been humbled by God this year and just by life and just realizing that motherhood isn't super flashy and it's not fancy and
Yeah.
it humbles you so much. Like there you are not as humbled as you are when you're giving birth and everyone's seeing everything, and you're just like, it's just, and then when you're, nursing a baby, you're just in such a vulnerable spot, but it's
Yeah.
such important work. And just raising these humans is just the number one job. And just knowing that God every day has new mercies, and
Yeah.
that I'm making mistakes every day, but every day it's new and it's fresh, and I just move on from that. And so just knowing that, like, we may not be making as much money, I may not be having accolades, but I know that I am being a very intentional, happy mom, and that is the most important right now. And just
Hmm.
focusing on these years, because it's going to go so fast. And
It
I just
is.
know they're all going to be adults one day, and that'll be the most of our time with them, is when they're adults. It's
Yeah.
like, we
Yeah.
think it's going to be when they're little kids, but it's, it just goes so fast. So,
I know.
and my oldest is 8 as well. It's so, I know you said yours is almost 8, but
Uh-huh.
it's just, I just feel like these years have already gone so fast. But yeah, God is really teaching me to just trust in Him, and know that He
Yeah.
will guide us through this kind of really messy season of life, where I have to
Yeah.
really, really just give it to God, a lot of it, every
Yeah.
single day.
Yeah. Well, Katie, thanks for, I mean, I feel like I was like, we don't have to share things in the middle, but like you are, you are, at least on this podcast, you are
Yeah,
sharing right
yeah.
in the middle right now. And I just appreciate you. I appreciate your honesty. I appreciate the things that you have posted on Instagram over the years, and
Oh, thanks,
just
Hannah.
the fun and lightheartedness that you bring to, the social media world. And excited to see where God takes you guys, you and your husband, and all your
Thank
kids, and this fifth baby. And
you.
um,
Yeah,
y'all have
here we go.
so much on the
I know, is
horizon.
it gonna be a
So
girl or a boy? I think
I,
that's the
you
conversation
know,
online right now, is after 4 boys, what's this baby gonna be?
I
That's
know.
kind of the things that,
You never know. You
yeah,
just, I mean, I know the odds. They say it's like the more
I know,
boys, the more
I
boys, or
know.
the more girls, more. But I mean,
Yep.
we all know families. My husband is one of 6, and they had 5 boys and a girl, and so
Okay.
it can happen.
You never know. We'll see.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank you again,
whatever.
Katie.
Okay, thanks, Hannah. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate you.